And as we've talked about in some of our earlier episodes, particularly on ancient Sumer and ancient Mesopotamia, we've covered some of this stuff. The Indus Valley Civilization, which thrived from approximately 2500 to 1900 BCE, integrated fertility cults and symbolic representations into their daily lives and spiritual practices. A good example is the Pashupati seal, which looks a lot like later images of the Hindu deity Shiva, especially in his role as the Lord of Animals. This seal, along with many figurines and artifacts, suggests a strong respect for the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, as well as the divine feminine and masculine aspects of fertility. These early ideas about life cycles were important and carried on to the more complex Vedic ritual system that came later. Besides these obvious symbols, archaeological evidence from the Indus Valley also suggests early yoga-like postures. The discovery of various figures in meditative or disciplined physical stances shows an early understanding of the connection between physical discipline and spiritual practice. This indicates that the people of the Indus Valley may have engaged in practices for physical well-being and to gain spiritual insight or connect with the divine from very early in human history. These ancient practices and symbolic expressions were dynamic. They planted philosophical ideas that continued to develop and shape later Indian thought. The emerging idea of interconnectedness in nature, where all elements were seen as part of a larger unified whole, anticipated the sophisticated Vedic and Upanishadic concepts of Brahman and Atman. Brahman, in later philosophy, represented the ultimate universal consciousness or reality, the fundamental basis of all existence. The Atman, on the other hand, represents the individual self or soul, a small version of the universal consciousness that has its earliest beginnings in the integrated worldview of the Indus Valley people. As Indo-Aryan migrations happened, these themes and developing philosophical concepts evolved significantly via trade routes and migration. They were absorbed and reinterpreted within the context of the new culture and language, resulting in a rich poetic and philosophical expressions found in the entire Rigvedic hymns. These hymns, which are the earliest part of Vedic literature, are the basis for a systematic understanding of the cosmos and a deeper exploration of metaphysical questions. Later, the Rigvedic themes and the philosophical currents became the foundation for Upanishadic philosophy. The Upanishads, representing a significant shift towards introspective and speculative inquiry, explored the nature of reality, the self, and the path to liberation in greater depth, drawing heavily from the ideas that originated millennia earlier in the Indus Valley civilization. Ancient Chinese civilizations had a strong bond between the living and spiritual as well. Ancestor rituals were crucial for maintaining harmony with the deceased who influenced the descendants' fortunes. Divination, especially with oracle bones, helped communicate with spirits and deities for guidance on agriculture and military matters. The questions and interpretations on these bones show a belief that every event was linked to the spiritual world's desires. Tian, or heaven, emerged as a central cosmic idea. Starting as a supreme deity, Tian became an abstract, powerful, moral, and cosmic authority, representing universal order and benevolent guiding force. And this led to the mandate of which stated that a ruler's legitimacy came from divine grant, depending on virtuous government and maintaining cosmic harmony. Natural disasters or rebellions were signs of a ruler who had lost the mandate, justifying a leadership change. This blend of politics and cosmology started to shape ancient Chinese religions and ethical systems, connecting moral conduct and spiritual alignment to political stability. Ancestor worship and cosmology led to Taoist and Confucian thought later on, as well as the concept of yin and yang, two complementary opposing forces described the universal's dynamic interaction, light and shadow, male and female qi, the vital life force that permeated all things. And these ideas became cornerstones of Taoist metaphysics, emphasizing harmony with the Tao, which was called the Way, through spontaneity and respect for interconnectedness. Confucian moral philosophy, however, focused on social harmony, drawing from the same cosmic understanding. Confucius and his followers articulated a system based on ethical conduct, hierarchical relationship, filial piety, and virtues like benevolence and righteousness, Ren and Yi. Taoism sought harmony through nature, while Confucianism aimed for it through ordered human society. Both are rooted in ancient Chinese cosmology. Mesopotamian and Persian cultures were also a crucial connection points between Asia and the Mediterranean. They played a major part in sharing cosmological and philosophical ideas. One particular important example is Zoroastrianism from ancient Persia, which brought a powerful dualistic view of the universe. This worldview described an ongoing battle between two main forces, Ahura Mazda, standing for truth, light, and creation, and Agra Mainyu, or Ahriman, representing falsehood, darkness, and destruction. This idea of a cosmic fight between good and evil, with people in the middle needing to pick a side, had a significant impact on later religious and philosophical traditions. Zoroastrian dualism especially influenced Jewish apocalyptic thought. The idea of a dramatic final judgment, a conflict between good and bad forces, and the eventual win of good was accepted into developing Jewish beliefs about the end times. Later, this influence spread to early Christian theology, particularly in its understanding of the battle between God and Satan, the idea of the Messianic age, and the ultimate triumph over evil. Gnostic eschatology, which focused on a cosmic struggle between spiritual light and material darkness, also drew inspiration from these early dualistic systems. Persian and Asian central trade routes did their work spreading the cosmological and philosophical ideas of Eastern Asia. As merchants, missionaries, and scholars traveled these wide networks, they carried their worldviews, including the dualistic and eschatological ideas of Zoroastrianism. Through these routes, the important concepts moved westward, gradually mixing and interacting with the Hellenic rationalism during the classical period. This combination of Eastern spiritual insights and Western philosophical inquiry created a rich mix of ideas that shaped the intellectual landscape of the ancient world and enhanced future philosophical and religious developments. For instance, the meeting of the cyclical views of some Greek philosophies and the linear goal-oriented perspective of Zoroastrianism created an active intellectual environment that encouraged a new understanding of existence, mortality, and the cosmos.